Well, the sift continues very, very slowly here at the Geekhouse, and I've gotten the compliments, of course, about the better lighting in this place. Well, you have the boob lights to thank for that, along with everything being matching daylight over here. So everything where there could possibly be a camera rolling is daylight, except for the alternate lights on those double lamps, which are soft whites, which I use in the evening, as well as just leaving one on at night. It's only 7 watts, but keep the place lit, run it as like a little bit of a nightlight type deal. So, a couple of things that have changed since last time, besides a little bit of a mess because I'm sifting through things. The dealing with the secondhand video game stores not going very well because they don't turn their inventory very quickly, so it's very hard for me to find something worth trading with them. Those are the games that I've been getting. I also had that Mario Land 2 6 golden coins from the original Game Boy. They all work, so that's the update on those. And the desk is, well, a mess as usual, but there's some things that are changing with it as well. The better lighting in the place is courtesy of the ivory colored paint on the wall, which would probably do a little bit better than with soft white lighting, but I'm using daylight to keep the color more neutral. And this is my latest experiment. I modded this patent fan so that it prefers pointing down instead of pointing up. Unfortunately, the stands mechanically don't let it shoot down at the floor like some of its cheaper off-brand alternatives. So I wound up taking the stand off and then actually cleaning out the cage too, which had gotten a couple of years of dust on it. What this does is essentially it's like a clockwise ceiling fan, but it's on the floor. So what it'll do, hopefully, is blow the air down onto the floor, it'll blow away, and try and suck the heat down from the ceiling, which is something that is sorely lacking. A major problem with the heating in this place is that the furnace is a little bit off the ground. So, yeah, the chimney actually serves as kind of like a heater and whatnot with the exhaust gas going out, and there's a Franklin stove pipe that is kind of like a radiator, but this thing shoots the heat at this level. So the heat has no chance to get down closer to the floor, so it feels like the floor is air conditioned even when the heat's running. And it's terrible, really, because there's no ceiling fans and no rough ceilings here, so the heat just goes up top and stays up there. So what I'm hoping to do with something like this, if I can find something that spins a little slower, is have a floor equivalent of a clockwise ceiling fan to suck the heat back down via, things like that. Suck the heat back down. But the problem is, this is a very powerful patent fan. In low mode, it pulls 150 watts, as opposed to a ceiling fan being between 25 and 75 watts. So I'm wondering if there's a way I can get a varistor or a voltage adjuster to adjust the voltage down without possibly damaging the motor. Make that thing spin slower, draw less power, because you don't need a lot of airflow in order to circulate the air like that. And this is what you might have heard. If we turn this thing back on, it's going to clunk and clunk and clunk as the metal expands inside of it. This thing gets pretty hot. You don't want to have any combustibles near this thing. But the problem is, well, it's not going to clank today. I've been running it more often, but when I come home after work, that first time it turns on after it's been off for several hours, tap, 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 things like that as it fires up the gas. This isn't very hot right now, but soon it will be. It's going to be too hot to handle. But as you can see, most of the heat comes out there, and a little bit comes out here, but heat likes to rise. And so the heat has no chance to be closer to the floor, and once the heat is up there somewhere, that's it. So I'm hoping I can have something similar to a clockwise ceiling fan without actually needing ceiling fans, because the landlord designed this place to be trashed. All the fixtures, like the boob lights and stuff, are essentially signs that he was looking for. He wants this place to be bulletproof against horrible tenants. So I imagine, and of course there's also the issue with the junction boxes. Bottom line, I don't think he's going to want any ceiling fans in here ever, or anything besides these boob lights. So we got to ad-lib a little. So maybe, perhaps, if I can get this to not be 150 watts instead of 25 to 75 watts, we take a fan that can pull some decent airflow, turn it on, shoot it at the floor, the air go down and away, and hopefully suck down stuff from over it to try and recirculate the heat that otherwise would collect up towards the ceiling. And for the balance of what we're doing here in the Geekhouse, we're going to do some modifications to Tuxedo to better reflect its new setup. This place is a lot cooler than the last place, and I've had temps very similar to this, even though I have aftermarket cooling. Some of the fans that I have in this thing are proving to be superfluous, and with the new setup where the computer is wedged between two pieces of furniture, the side fan is pretty much useless. To do this, we'll be using the freshly cleaned up project area, although this is about as clean as it's going to get before we sort through all those old electronics over there. Still have to get through the great sift, which will be coming up after the main series starts back up. But this is ultimately what I wound up going with. Some stuff can go on the old project table. The kitchen table is a new project table because it's sturdier with heavy equipment. We got the tube monitor there, but I don't think I'm going to be keeping the tube monitor. I'm probably going to swap it with, if I ever get a new LCD side monitor or can get something cheap, I'd like to have something over here to get this bulky thing out of here because, as you can tell, it's taking up too much space. Anyways, let's toss Tuxedo over here and see what we can do. Also, I've decentralized the former blue screen lamps so I can have them in the corner. So if I really wanted to, kill the boob light. It doesn't get that much darker. Actually, it doesn't even get all this does is fill in the middle. So, I guess, well, we might need it, but yeah, this is just the lamps. That's LED, that's all solid state, no radio interference. Well, the boob light will just fill in the remaining light anyways. Well, the custom cooling is still in one piece, but it's been a while since I had this thing open, so I've been blowing a little bit of dust out of everything. There's a little bit of dust, but nothing too exciting. And the useless 80mm fan in the front is gone. And I got some other ideas in mind. The side fans are going away. There's almost going to be no point whatsoever in having a fan controller in this thing anymore when I'm done with it. As predicted, there's not much that I can really do with this case. It looks like the aftermarket heatsink was the best thing that ever happened to it, because there's not really anything else I can do. Took out those horrible plastic things that were down here for the 80mm fan hookup, but a 120 will not fit in here by any means at all. Might be able to squeeze in a 92, but I'm not that desperate to have a crappy front fan again. We'll save the front fan cooling for the next case. As for the system itself, though, this does mean that the system is now down to just a fan in the back. So there's no point in having a fan controller anymore, but I'm going to leave it in just for the heck of it. So I can manually turn this down if I want the computer to be that much quieter. But, yeah, we're going to have to save the fan control stuff for Monolith. Ay, ay, ay. Nothing like when investments don't pay off. Back up and running. And the fan's not even at 50%, I don't think. And we're still managing to keep the temperature on the processor in the teens. Yeah, very, very different from the top floor, always hot, whatever, of the old place. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.